Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, thanks for joining me. I'm Katie, and we've got a very interesting one again today. Before we get cracking into today's video, why not subscribe to my channel if you haven't already? I've noticed there's quite a lot of you watching but haven't subscribed, and well, if you're enjoying watching, you might as well, and then you can be updated every time a new video comes out so you don't miss out. So go on, quickly hit that subscribe button. Anyway, that's the shameless plug out the way. Let's talk about these paints. So curiosity has gotten the better of me, and I've been noticing here and there the Graphitint paint pan pocket set by Derwent. Now, I've used their Graphitint pencils before. They've been in scroller boxes of years gone by, and at the time I wasn't massively keen on them until I went and did a bit of an urban sketch and found out how useful they were, and I quite liked the subtle muted colours in them. So I noticed this paint palette and I'm like, I have to try this. It's so weird. So one of the first things I noticed when I added the water using the pipette was how quickly it absorbed in. Now, they might look shiny on top, but I'm not kidding you, that did not take much to activate and get them colours going. Now, I know the set comes with a water brush, and that's great, but I'm only going to use that if I'm on the go, so I didn't see the point in filling that up with water to do this. I wanted to use a proper paintbrush. Now, whilst adding the paint into the water and then leaving it to settle for a bit, I did notice that the graphite kind of sinks to the bottom and the pigment stains the water. So I guess it is a hybrid of a watercolour pencil and a graphite one, and I'm guessing and speculating here that there are ground up particles of graphite to sort of add that muted gorgeousness about it. So I decided to swatch these out on just two different types of watercolour paper. The first one was 300 GSM cold press paper, which came in April's scroller box, and I thought that's just handy to try things out with. And the second one was the Bockingford watercolour paper 300 GSM rough. I also did a little experiment with salt, but I think I might save that for another video and go a little bit more in depth as to what else I can do with these. Now, the Bockingford paper really gave a nice granulating effect, I want to say, and the textures of that paper really came through nicely as the graphite particles settled into them, whereas the slightly smoother scroller box paper allowed for those nice subtle washes to look, well, more washy, I suppose. I also noticed with these, with them being graphite based, curiosity got the better of me again, and I did find out that you could erase them, or to a certain extent at least remove the graphite, and that works best with a kneadable eraser, but you can use a more regular eraser with it if you want. Now let's get on with the painting, shall we? So yes, we've got another figure's head here, and I love just how free I could use this and how loose I could work with it. However, I was getting a bit freaked out by the graphite particles in the paint. For some reason, when I wanted to do a light wash of them, especially on the skin tone, it wasn't looking right, and part of me was panicking ever so slightly. So for a little while I just left it so I could have a think about it and got cracking with that hair colour. Now, one of the things again that I noticed about this is you do get a bit of a graphite sheen to it, and some of the colours do have a bit more of a shimmer to them than others. Now, it's not to be compared to the mica based shimmery paints like the Fine Tech or the Van Gogh or the Kuretake metallic watercolours. It's not like that. I'd say it's more subtle than that, and if you just catch it in the right light, you'll notice it. And also, you've sort of got that well, it's pretty obvious really, but that dullness from the graphite that really mutes things down a little bit. Now, speaking of the graphite, yes, the deposits left on the character's face and it wrecking the skin tone a little bit there. The easy solution to that was to get a kneaded eraser and just lift it off, and I really like that, and I kind of think it kind of defies the point of a graphite based paint, but it's actually really nice to have the option to do that because it really shows a nice contrast. Now, I did end up using some water-soluble graphite pencils to add some stronger details in there, because I'd say the only criticism I would have with these paints was they didn't go that dark, and it's difficult to describe, but it just hit a certain level with the tone, and anything where I wanted to add details, and it didn't matter how thick I applied that paint, it wasn't going to get any darker, which I thought, okay, I'm going to need some help here. So I did use some graphitint pencils. I also used a DERWENT sketching pencil, and I believe there may be a Koh-i-Noor and a Faber-Castell, again water soluble graphite pencil. I also made sure they were water soluble so I could try and work that in a little bit more and keep it fitting with the medium that I'd used here. So what can I compare these paints to apart from the graphitint pencils? Well, I'm sure you might remember that I have worked with some muted watercolours before, and they are like the Gansai Tambi paints you can get, but they are muted colours, I guess. That's all it said. They were written in Chinese and I couldn't get a lot of information from them. However, I have used them before, and if you want me to do a comparison video where I do a video with both paints and do a side-by-side comparison, let me know in the comments and I can sort that out for you. But comparing them to each other retrospectively, these allowed me to blend a little bit more. I could layer up to a certain extent. If I did very fine washes, I could keep layering them up until the tone couldn't get any darker. Whereas with the other ones, I think it was a case of it pretty much being, you can get away with a couple of layers and then that's it. And I've noticed with these graphitint ones, you can lift the colour back off as well, so it easily reactivates, which again, that can be a good thing if you want it to be. And to be fair, that was a good thing for this painting. So I had drawing the other eye syndrome on this, and it does look really weird for a little while, so you will have to bear with the painting looking a little bit odd, but I do resolve it in the end and manage to get it looking a bit better. For some reason it just wasn't happening, and I'd sort of reached a stage in the painting where it was like I've done too much to give up on it now, and I'm not starting another one. So I do manage to amend that, and that's down to the graphite quality of these paints and being able to lift it. I managed to almost get it to be clear again and draw that other eye in, but it still does look a little bit odd. Never mind, at least the hair looks good. So speaking of hair and textures, I wanted to see what different textures I could create using these, and obviously this figure in front of us is a great way to demonstrate. So to paint hair, this was a dream. Again though, I couldn't get it as dark as I wanted without the help of the graphite pencils, but oh, it was so lovely working with them together. It was just so nice, and anywhere I needed to change my mind, I could just get an eraser on it and add some details in, and it was absolutely lovely. And for her, I suppose it's like a fur trim on her dress that she's wearing. Again, it was lovely to use a fan brush on there and get all that texture in. As you can see, this is where I go back and do the eye. Oops. Skin tones, I think, were quite difficult because those graphite particles, I think, were just a little bit too harsh. However, you can lift them off with a kneadable eraser, and A kneadable one's best for that level of control, so you know, you can press on hard and remove a lot, or you can just dab it on slightly and it won't remove as much. So once I sort of figured that out, it was really nice for that as well. The grey tones of the paint were perfect to create her hair decoration as well. I think it looks quite metallic, and that was really nice to work with there. So you can sort of replicate quite a lot of different surfaces and textures, and again, this is all open for more experimentation. Factors like the paper that you're using as well also come into consideration here, so I'm sure if you used a smoother paper, your textures would look different as well. So have any of you lovely lot checked these out, and have you used them? Have you used the graphitint pencils as well? I'd really like to know what your thoughts are on these, because these just seemed so interesting. I had to try them, and I really quite like them, and I do want to do more stuff with them in the future. I mean, hopefully once things get back to normal, I think these will be a great companion to take to life drawing with me, as well as any urban sketching events that are coming up. Also, don't forget to drop in the comments if you'd like me to do a side-by-side comparison with these and the strange muted paints I got a while back from AliExpress. I'd like to know, and I'm really curious myself actually, so if you want me to share that experience with you, let me know and I can sort a video out for you. Anyway, we are all done. I pretty much just about managed to recover that eye. A bit extra eyeliner and it didn't quite look as bad. I just want to say a massive thank you for watching this video. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but I do hope if you've been curious about these paints, this has helped you decide whether you want to give them a try or not. If you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!